Why design your ideal me? I've touched on this, but I just want to emphasize that when you have a clear picture of the future me, you're doubling the odds that you will act today. Research shows that students who wrote a future self narrative are 40% more likely to stay in college. And this is not about college or university. This is about you taking and sustaining action. All right, so what is the ideal me? Think of the ideal me as this mosaic or this puzzle of different elements. I'm very quickly going to walk you through some of them, and then I have something super important to tell you. So, who am I? This is kind of the question that throughout human civilization, people have been asked all over the globe throughout history. So, not just in all parts of the globe, like the ancient Greeks, but also the ancient Egyptians and the Chinese in the East, and then in the West, the Mayas. So all civilization have asked, who am I? But also throughout time, this has been a question that came over and over again in philosophy, psychology, and even neuroscience. Why am I saying this? Because this is in our DNA. We are kind of designed not just to be these unconscious creatures who go through life like robots. We are designed to find and create meaning through the question of who am I? So this is a bit abstract. Let's go into some more tangible elements, like your qualities or strengths. Are you enthusiastic? Are you brave? Are you energetic? Are you empathetic? Are you active? Are you pensive? Are you reflective? What are your qualities as a person? We're also going to talk about the shadow in just a moment, but I just want to say that your ideal me, it's not just the Instagrammable and the TikTok likely content. Your ideal me, it's also this part of yourself which might be wounded or which might be a trauma. And it's important not to exclude it, because when we exclude part of ourselves, this depletes our energy and diminishes who we are. Our needs and values are also part of the picture of who am I and my ideal self. When we speak about needs, this is not my need to eat sugar or to watch Netflix. Those are more these universal human needs, such as shelter, food, connection, recognition, self-expression, communication, security. So those needs. And if you want to know what are your values, you can always take the Catapult values assessment. Your dreams and your why are also part of the ideal me. And finally, your passions and talents. And if you want to know more about that, you can take my element assessment in Catapult Your Career and figure out what are your passion and talents. Now, when we speak about the why, I just want to emphasize this because there is a great activity that you can do to really connect to your why. Think of a situation where you had a hard time, like it was challenging, it was difficult, it wasn't easy. What moved you to overcome the challenge? So think of a case where you overcame a challenge or you dealt with a difficult. What is that moved you? Was it because you wanted to prove yourself, or because you really, really didn't want someone else to go ahead of you? Like, what is that feeling that moved you? Now, think of another situation where you might have helped someone, or you might have acted to do something for someone else. What is that moved you? What made you do the thing that you do? Okay, so what do we do with the shadow? Imagine this. You're running, you fall, and you hurt your arm. You don't cut off your arm, you don't hide it, you don't pretend it's not there. Yes, it hurts, yes, it's painful, but what you do is that you heal it. And the way we deal with our shadow is that first we need to know what our shadow is. We need to explore which are those areas where we don't feel confident, where there is pain, where there is maybe even shame. Then we need to transform what's not working for us at this moment. We need to heal it and finally reintegrate our shadow. Let me give you a very specific example so that this sounds very practical. My shadow is my idea that I'm not good enough. Throughout school, I have always been bullied, and my classmates used to draw caricatures of me, tell me that I'm ugly. Pretty much for all 12 years, I've been hearing from different parts and in different ways over and over again, how ugly am I? And as I entered in my 20s, I was very insecure and I believed I'm not good enough and I'm not going to be hired for good positions. So every time I went on an interview, I was not so confident, not so assertive. So first of all, I did recognize that this experience happened, and I did recognize that my need to be seen, to be valued, to be recognized, and to be included was not met. And I did it by giving it to myself. I started seeing myself as someone who is worthy, who is valuable, who has a lot to contribute. Then I transformed the behavior that's not working for me already. I stopped being that super shy person and I stopped over explaining why I am the right person for the position. Then I healed. I gave myself time, mostly through breathing and through vagus nerve exercises, to get my body to process the trauma. And then I reintegrated that by starting to talk about it once I had my own coaching business. And by talking about it, a lot of people connected, and some of my most prominent clients and biggest fans actually came to me because they connected through that personal experience. So your shadow, it's part of your ideal you. We're not going to talk about it right now. In level 2, you're going to have a separate activity and video about the shadow, limiting beliefs, and trauma, and how they can deplete you from energy to work on your goals. So in this video, we're just mentioning this. We're not going to work with it, but I think it's important for you to have this consciousness and this awareness. And as you walk through your life, start to see where are the places where you feel wounded, heal yourself, and transform. All right, so now we are going to move to a 4-step challenge for you to design your ideal self. The first step is to create the character. So think of TV series, a novel, or a movie, and it has one main character. That's your ideal you. Now, before we move, I want you to think of the ideal you as someone that you're absolutely in love with, someone that you totally admire. So picture yourself walking down the street and seeing your ideal self approaching. How are they dressed? What is their vibe? What is their face expression? Where are they going? Are they going to a meeting or are they going home to their family? What do people think of them? What do people say of them? Who are they? Think of the character. Who is your ideal self? And again, you can think about the qualities, the passions, the talents, the why, how I overcome challenges. And here you can just write in whatever narrative or text works for you. You're not going to submit this. This is only for you. You will never submit this. So the character, who is your ideal self? All right. So this is your first challenge. Design the character, write out the character. What are his or her main qualities? What is his quest? What are his goals or her goals? And what are the greatest challenges that he or she is encountering? Okay, once you have step 1, the character, we're moving towards step 2, the story. So what is the story of your character? Where does it start? Does it start like he or she was born in a kingdom far away? Or does it start he or she was a teenager, he or she was fed up with people bullying them, and then, So where does the story start? How does he or she come to existence? Like, is it in times of peace or in times of war? This is a bonus question, but you can still think about it. What are his or her challenges? We've already discussed that. But now, how does he or she overcome those challenges? And finally, once the challenges are overcome, what is the happy ending? Is it a great career, a great business, a great life, or some accomplishment? So think about the story. And now you're going to see on the screen the story arc. Each story usually begins with beginning the journey. Then you have some different challenges that you overcome. You might meet a mentor who will help you. You might find out new things about yourself. Climax of the story where it's most heated, the challenge is the greatest, then you solve the challenge of the story. And how does this ending look like? What is the happy ending? All right, step 3 is an activity where you're going to use crayons, paint, markers, whatever medium you want, and draw your ideal me. This is not a structured exercise. This is not a structured exercise. So what I actually want you to do is choose your medium, paint, markers, crayon, grab white piece of paper, put on some music, put a timer for 5, 7, or 13 minutes, and just draw and let the movements, like the shapes or the colors, come out. Don't overthink it, just feel it and draw a picture of your ideal self. Finally, do the guided visualization in your program to meet your ideal self. Now, you see that those are 4 steps, but as you go through the steps, you're not obliged to do all of them. I highly recommend that you do all of them, but you can choose 1, 2, 3, or 4, or you can choose any 2 of these steps. I recommend that you do all of the steps, but if you feel like drawing is totally not your thing, you can leave it out, or if you want to leave out the story, you can just do the character. I hope you understand these are 4 steps that I recommend, but they're not obligatory. Now, here we come to the most important part of our discussion today. You have the ideal self, but if this remains just a mental image without emotional connection, it would be like a mental masturbation without any value. The real value of the ideal self is for you to feel a deep emotional connection, to be able to experience with your body how in love you are with your ideal self, how much you wish to be that person, how much you admire them. And neuroscience tells us that if there is no emotional connection, it absolutely makes no sense. So, how to stay connected with your ideal me? We do that through visualization. And even Michael Phelps, who is a world champion in swimming, visualizes. He visualizes how he goes into the water, how he swims, and then how he receives the medal. Visualization activates brain pathways for success. So once you visualize how you do your day being your ideal self, you are actually going to act more like your ideal self. What is our end game here? Our end game here is for you to become your ideal self. And when you visualize how you do small things throughout your day as your ideal self, you're most likely to do them. You're already visualizing. Every time you daydream, you're visualizing. But now you can harness this power, this energy. You can make it a conscious practice that will turn dreams into real achievements. So even in the morning when you wake up or throughout the day, spend as much as 17 seconds visualizing how you're overcoming a challenge, how you're making the first step or sustaining action towards an important goal, and visualize how you're being your ideal me. The science of visualization tells us that the 2 most potent areas of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, dealing with planning and discipline, and the amygdala, dealing with emotions and processing memories, work together when we visualize and we add emotion to our visualization and helps us succeed. I want you to remember that your story is your life. And a meaningful life means that you have a sense of direction. Usually, the ideal me provides this sense of direction. Finally, your personal story and how you see yourself and your journey determines your success. And visualization can help you write and rewrite your story. So, all that we are doing here is creating this full, authentic, inspiring, energizing, emotional image of your ideal self and adding little rituals and protocols so that you connect to that emotion on a daily basis, which will improve your motivation and your results. If you're wondering how to connect with your ideal self on a daily basis, do not forget that we have, which you can use to do a small ritual, track your progress so that you connect with your ideal self. Now, there is another final element that we want to discuss, and that is where you place your power, your personal power, or the fact that the force is with you unless you give it away. How do you give away your power? Mostly people give away their power through their narratives. When they tell stories where they are the victims, when they have no choice, or when circumstances outside of them dictate their life, that's when people feel powerless and they actually never take action. When you take responsibility only for the part that is yours, you regain power, which is why you have an optional activity, me versus them, in your guidebook, which you can do to regain power. Regaining power is pretty much focusing on what you can control. You can control your thoughts, you can control your emotions, you can control your actions. You can influence others with your voice, with your energy, and with your presence. This is why the ideal me is so powerful, because when you focus on visualizing your ideal me, on connecting with your ideal me, on asking yourself on a daily basis, how can I be my ideal self today? You are influencing others. You're becoming charismatic. You're becoming attractive. You're becoming irresistible, and you are attracting success. But if you focus on things you cannot control, what others think, what others say, politics, and things you have no control over, then you give away your power. So, quick recap. We spoke about the ideal self, this ideal you that you're going to totally fall in love with. We had 4 steps in order for you to design your ideal self: the character, the story, the picture, and the visualization. I also mentioned that it's not enough to only design your ideal self. You have to fall in love with it. It has to be very personal, very authentic. And you need to connect with the feeling of your ideal self on a daily basis, which you can do through visualization, rituals, and protocols. Finally, we spoke about the fact that every time you feel like a victim and you don't take responsibility for what is happening to you, or at least the part that it's yours, you're giving away your power. Now, your challenge is to do the challenge in your workbook. Very important. What you need to submit, it's only the final page of your workbook. The way you know that it's submittable, it's that it has an icon in the left-hand corner which says that this is the part that you submit. I do not want you to submit your activities because they're intimately yours. I only want you to submit the reflection and what you've learned and what action have you taken, which is the submittable part of your work. You can take a picture of it, you can scan it, or you can write it on a document and submit it. See you in the next video.